Hare Krishna. Somebody can please lead the invocation prayers. Somebody.
I can.
Go ahead, Abhishek.
ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरून् श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं त्वं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for coming to read and discuss Srila Prabhupada and Krishna's instructions. And thank you in advance for taking the responsibility to apply the teachings in your respective lives. Today we will discuss inquiries submitted by you all on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7. We'll have a lot of verses to read today for all these inquiries. Thank you again for submitting all these inquiries. Your inquiries are your mercy on me, that I had to research so many scriptural references and I get an opportunity to speak Krishna Katha. So we'll read all these verses today. Question number 1. How do you erase someone's misconception without hurting them? So instead of you saying the corrective action points, point to scriptures such as Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and ask this person to read directly from the scripture. This way, it is Krishna speaking to them. Plus, by making them read directly, this person is already getting association of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna, even by simply holding the scripture in their hand, if the situation permits to have them hold the physical book. But let them read the answer by themselves. You just be the instrument in pointing to scriptural reference. Initially, may seem hard to have all the verses handy, but over a period of time, this will become second nature. At least in Bhagavad Gita, we have seen how to use the index. Bhagavatam physical copy also has index, but a little difficult. But you can always use Vedabase to search and get to your answers. Does that answer?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. One question here that sometimes even if like people read, either they may not reach the same conclusion. Uh, like if the way we have understood and we are trying to show the point to them, like they read and they are not.
Yeah, and you are correct. So at that point, it's okay to explain that this is the real meaning that simple read of any scriptures, it's not possible to understand. We'll read today 8.28 purport, fourth paragraph. Prabhupada says, it's not possible to understand by simple reading or by mental concoction. You have to hear in devotee association. So then it's okay to explain, right? Just by saying, read this and that's your answer. No, you can say, read this and this, the point being explained is so and so. And to convince them why simple read doesn't help. So 8.28, paragraph number 4 starts with the words idam viditva. That's how the paragraph starts. Prabhupada clearly explains. Further, you can point to Bhagavad Gita 4.7 and 4.8. Very famous verses. Yada yada hi dharmasya. If you read the translation of the verse, it says Krishna comes to re-establish dharma and relieve the devotees from the demoniac atrocities. So those points are correct. But these are secondary reasons. If you actually read the purport of 4.7 and 4.8, Prabhupada explains the real reason for Krishna's appearance is to have relation or exchange rasa with pure devotees. And by the way, I will also kill demons. So you can explain these points and basically have a conversation on those fronts. But the actual response of what their inquiry is or the point, let them read directly. Abhishek.
Thank you. Thank you, Babaji.
Yeah, very good. Question number 2. What does scheduled incarnation mean? How is Srinigarbha, who gave darshan to Dhruv Maharaj, a scheduled incarnation? So scheduled incarnation means the one mentioned in original revealed scriptures. The context of this question is that Dhruv Maharaj got darshan of the Lord after undergoing severe austerities. The personality of Godhead who gave darshan to Dhruv Maharaj is Pushinga Garbha. So it's described in Srimad Bhagavatam 4.9.11. Let's read 4.9.11. So I have 4.9.11. Abhishek can read translation and purport.
Yes. Translation. This great sage Maitreya told Vidura, when the demigods were thus reassured by the personality of Godhead, they were freed from all fears, and after offering their obeisances, they returned to their heavenly planets. Then the Lord, who is non different from the Sahasra Shirsha incarnation, got on the back of Garuda, who carried him to the Madhuvan forest to see his servant Dhruva. Purport. The word Sahasra Shirsha refers to the personality of God known as Garbhodakasai Vishnu. Although the Lord appeared as Shirodakasai Vishnu, he has been described here as Sahasra Shirsha Vishnu because he is non-different from Garbhodakasai Vishnu. According to Srila Rupa Goswami in his Laghu Bhagavata Amrita, the Sahasra Shirsha personality of Godhead who appeared at that time was the incarnation known as Prishnigarbha. He created the planet known as Dhruvaloka for the habitation of Dhruva Maharaj.
Right, so Shirodakshai Vishnu gave darshan, but actually it's the Prishnigarbha, which is another form of Shirodakshai Vishnu, who actually gave darshan. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 3, verse number 41, the Lord states that he appeared as Prishnigarbha. Now, understand that Srimad Bhagavatam is not entire thing of spirituality. Srimad Bhagavatam is just like headlines of a newspaper. The 90 chapters that we have in Canto 10, they are not all pastimes of the Lord. They are just headlines. And that too also very few pastimes, not 100% of the pastimes. So we don't know everything about the Lord. We don't know all the incarnation. So this is not a scheduled incarnation. It's just another form of Shirodakshai Vishnu that appeared in front of Dhruv Maharaj. Does that help with the inquiry?
No, probably one clarification. Like schedule incarnation here means like schedule in the sense that they have been mentioned in the Bhagavatam, so they may come in future. Or is it like Lord comes at specific times in the day of Brahma, and in that way it is a schedule incarnation, or both?
It's both, and you. So there's one more question coming up on this point today, that you don't have to take it as a cookie cutter. Actually, it's the next question. So let's read the next question, and I will answer together. Let's read question number 3. Question number 3 says, devotee praying and Lord coming like Gajendra's protection, are they counted as incarnation? So this is not like a cookie cutter. You have to see the situation. So sometimes the Lord from spiritual world directly comes to protect the devotee. And sometimes there is an incarnation to come and protect. So we know, say in future, Kalki avatar will come. So Kalki avatar is an incarnation. We already know from scripture that the incarnation will come and protect. Now, sometimes the Lord himself from spiritual world descends to protect the devotee. So it's not a cookie cutter. You have to see and judge according to the circumstances as to what it is. Abhishek.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. Question number 4. Please could you provide the reference where it says that you are born as a woman because of less karmic spiritual credits? The more important point is that in ISKCON, there is no discrimination between male and female devotees. Females are also pujaris, and now females, Vaishnavis, can also be spiritual masters. So we have discussed this during karma discussion in our Bhagavad Gita class, that I have described karma point in a concentrated manner from hundreds of lectures. And we have also heard from His Grace Chaitanya Chandas that there is no discrimination, and that spiritual credits is one of the criteria from the many dimensions of what determines the next body. We don't even know all the dimensions. We only know very few of those dimensions. So those Chaitanya Chanda's lectures are the reference for this point. Right now, I do not have directly that scriptural reference handy, but the Chaitanya Chanda's lectures are the reference, and we know that His Grace Chaitanya Chandas is an authority on scriptures in ISKCON. Does that answer the inquiry? All right. Question number 5. Can you kindly explain what it means when you say the wives were there for Krishna's pleasure? Why were these wives and women instead of men friends? Is there a special explanation for why these were women? So the queens are for Krishna's pleasure means for Krishna's service. Krishna is pleased only by devotional service. We have discussed this in Canto 1, the chapter where Krishna enters Dwarka and meets the queen. So in that chapter, it's around verse 36, We have discussed how Krishna is not immoral. So these queens are for Krishna's pleasure means, for Krishna's devotional service. So the many categories of gopis are to satisfy Krishna in different rasa. And in terms of men friends, yes, Krishna did have male friends also as gopas of Vrajvas. So both these question number 4 and 5 focus so much on why women. So don't focus on that. Understand that all souls are anyway female. Yes, in the material world, we have male and female bodies, but body are temporary. Male and female bodies are just to manifest the karmic reactions. All souls, 100% of the infinite souls are females. Krishna is the only Purusha. Does that answer the inquiry? All right. Question number 6. What is the desire of the greatest monist? The statement says the impersonalist desire to become one with the Supreme, but the devotee becomes more than the Lord, surpassing the desire of greatest monist. So the answer is already in the question that the monist desire to merge with the Supreme. Question number 7. Between Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan realizations, do people on the bhakti path take to Paramatma and Bhagwan realizations with progressive purification? When does one realize they are at Paramatma versus Bhagwan realization? Also, does this matter to devotees? So we have discussed this in Bhagavad Gita Yoga Ladder, that there are many paths one can take, that those following Gyan Yoga path, their maximum option is to attain Brahman realization. Those following Ashtanga Yoga path, their maximum option is to attain Paramatma realization. And those following Bhakti Yoga have all the options of Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan realizations. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, Krishna says that whatever was possible for you, Arjuna, by following the meditation path, can also be attained by Karma Yoga and attain even more by Karma Yoga. So, Karma Yoga here refers to Bhakti Yoga. And so we'll read this chapter 5 verses. And in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.7.4, Srila Vyasadeva, after attaining perfection, bypassed Brahman and Paramatma realization and proceeded straight to Bhagwan, because devotee knows that Brahman and Paramatma realizations are not complete realizations. So in terms of progressive realization, yes, it's an option available. We have discussed this at Yoga Ladder, that one can go through all the steps, but you don't have to. You just take the shortcut, the express elevator path, that from your Karma Kanda to Bhakti Yoga, or Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga to Bhakti Yoga, by you skipping Gyan Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga. Why do you need to endeavor for Gyan Yoga's results and Ashtanga Yoga's results when you already know that these results of Brahman effulgence and Paramatma realizations respectively are not complete realizations? So why would you endeavor there? So let's read the answers to these questions. So first I will have Bhagavad Gita 4 and 5, chapter 5, verse 4 and 5, where Krishna explains that whatever is possible by meditation is possible by Karma Yoga, means Bhakti Yoga, and even much more. Padma Kumar, you want to read chapter 5, verse 4 and 5 translations?
Only the ignorant speak of devotional service in bracket karma yoga as being different from analytical study of the material world, Sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieve the results of both. One who knows that the position reached by means of analytical study can also be attained by devotional service, and who thereafter therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level, sees things as they are.
Right, so Krishna clearly says that what you can get by Jnana Yoga, analytical study, you can also attain by devotional service. And of course, the discussion we had it, we are only reading briefly. We discussed this, that you can actually attain much more by Bhakti Yoga. So we'll read 174 Bhagavatam, translation and purport. Part Prabhu will read 174. Read the translation and purport until 7.19. Vasudeve Sarvamiti. Part Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, 1.7.4.
Correct. You have it on the screen. You can read from screen, please.
Okay. Thus, he fixed his mind perfectly, engaging it by linking it in devotional service, Bhakti Yoga, without any tinge of materialism. And thus, he saw the absolute personality of Godhead along with his external energy, which was under full control.
So this is Srila Vyasadeva. He attained perfection and he's showing us what did he do. Continue, purport.
Purport. Perfect vision of absolute truth is possible only by linking process of devotional service. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. One can perfectly realize the absolute truth, personality of Godhead, only by the process of devotional service. And one can enter into the kingdom of God by such perfect knowledge. Imperfect realization of the absolute by the partial approach of the impersonal Brahman or localized Paramatma does not permit anyone to enter into the kingdom of God. Sri Narada advised Srila Vyasadeva to become absorbed in transcendental meditation on the personality of Godhead and his activities. Srila Vyasadeva did not take notice of the effulgence of Brahman because there is not absolute vision. The absolute vision is the personality of Godhead as it is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7.19. Vasudeva Sarvam Iti.
All right.
In the Upanishad,
Prabhupada explains that Brahman and Paramatma realizations are not perfect. These Brahman and Paramatma realizations do not allow you to enter the kingdom of God. Therefore, Srila Vyasadeva bypassed. Yeah, he saw, but he bypassed. And he says the absolute vision is Bhagwan realization. Vasudeve Sarvam Iti. Does that answer the inquiry? We have to play critter sound, I think. Yes, no, silence. Still silence.
Yes, Prabhupada.
Thank you. Question number 8. The tradition relies heavily on the parampara system, a deeply personal, lived transition of knowledge from teacher to student. As spiritual communities increasingly rely on remote streams, digital archives, and potentially AI-driven chatbots to answer philosophical questions, what is lost when the physical proximity and spontaneous, nuanced human correction of a teacher are removed from the equation? Can true humility and surrender be cultivated through an interface? Heavily loaded question. Thank you for asking. So Bhagavad Gita, we'll read a lot of verses for this. So Bhagavad Gita 8.28, paragraph number 4 states that one cannot understand spiritual topics by scholarship or mental speculation. Rather, one has to hear in association of devotees. And in Bhagavad Gita 18.75, Sanjaya explains that Sanjaya is able to understand Bhagavad Gita conversation between Krishna and Arjuna only because of mercy of spiritual master. I'll give you a live practical example for this, that Pragya from the other batch tried to create a video on a particular topic using AI tools. And Pragya got exact wrong answer. Yes, sometimes AI provides you correct answer. So AI is also imperfect because it is man-made. All humans are subject to 4 defects, and anything created by humans is also subject to 4 defects. So Srila Prabhupada has stated that humans cannot reach the edge of the universe. How can human then know what is beyond the universe? It is impossible to talk of spiritual subject matters for humans. Therefore, we have to rely on scriptures. The scriptures is the bridge between material and spiritual realm. So we'll read some verses and I will discuss, and then we'll further read more verses for a holistic answer to this very important inquiry. First, we'll read 8.28 Bhagavad Gita, paragraph number 4, which starts with the words idam viditva. Follow me. If you want to read 8.28, paragraph number 4, I have on the screen highlighted.
Hare Krishna. Paragraph number 4. The word idam viditva indicates that one should understand the instructions given by Sri Krishna in this chapter and the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. One should try to understand these chapters not by scholarship or mental speculation, but by hearing them in association with devotees.
Right, so Prabhupada clearly said one should try to understand not by scholarship, not by mental speculation, but by hearing them in association with devotees. Palomi will continue. 18.75 I have on the screen. You read translation and purport paragraph 1 and 2.
Translation. By the mercy of Vyasa, I have heard the most confidential talk directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna. Purport: Vyasa was the spiritual master of Sanjaya. Sanjaya admits that it was by Vyasa's mercy that he could understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This means that one has to understand Krishna not directly, but through the medium of the spiritual master. The spiritual master is the transparent medium. Although it is true that the experience is still direct, this is the mastery of disciplic succession. When the spiritual master is bona fide, then one can hear Bhagavad Gita directly as Arjuna heard it. There are many mistakes in yogis all over the world, but Krishna is the master of all yoga systems. Krishna's instructions is explicitly stated in Bhagavad Gita, surrender unto Krishna. One who does so is the topmost yogi. It is confirmed in the last verse of the 6th chapter, Yogi Namapi Sarvesha. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Second paragraph also.
Prabhuji, next para also?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Narada is the direct disciple of Krishna and the spiritual master of Vyasa. Therefore, Vyasa is as bona fide as Arjuna because he comes in the disciplic succession, and Sanjaya is the direct disciple of Vyasa. Therefore, by the grace of Vyasa, Sanjaya's senses were purified and he could see and hear Krishna directly. One who directly hears Krishna can understand this confidential knowledge. If one does not come to the disciplic succession, he cannot hear Krishna. Therefore, his knowledge is always imperfect, at least as far as understanding Bhagavad Gita is concerned.
Right. So without disciplic succession, the understanding is never perfect. And Sanjaya clearly said, only because of mercy of Srila Vyasadeva, spiritual master, he was able to understand and comprehend and hear Bhagavad Gita conversations. We'll further read verses on this. So without spiritual master's mercy, understanding spiritual subject matters is not possible. Now, developing various divine qualities is not possible without service to Krishna and Krishna's devotees. So anyone who is trying to be aloof from Krishna consciousness society and yet engage in Krishna conscious activities by offline, by themselves, say using whatever AI chatbots, is living in a great hallucination, for this is not possible. Prabhupada used a very strong word, hallucination. We'll read 4.9.11 for this point. Let's see. So I have Bhagavatam 4.9.11. Priyanka, translation and purport.
Hare Krishna. Dhruva Maharaj continued, O unlimited Lord, kindly bless me so that I may associate with great devotees who engage in your transcendental loving service constantly, as the waves of a river constantly flow. Such transcendental devotees are completely situated in an uncontaminated state of life. By the process of devotional service, I shall surely be able to cross the Nissan ocean of material existence, which is filled with the waves of blazing fire-like dangers. It will be very easy for me, for I am becoming mad to hear about your transcendental qualities and pastimes which are eternally existent. Purport. The significant point in Dhruva Maharaj's statement is that he wanted the association of pure devotees. Transcendental devotional service cannot be complete and cannot be relishable without the association of devotees. We therefore have established the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Anyone who's trying to be aloof from this Krishna Consciousness Society and yet engage in Krishna consciousness is living in a great hallucination, for this is not possible. From this statement by Dhruva Maharaj, it is clear that unless one is associated with devotees, his devotional service does not mature. It does not become distinct from material activities. The Lord says, Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hrit karna rasayana. Bhagavatam 3.25.25. Only in the association of pure devotees can the words of Lord Krishna be fully potent and relishable to hear to the heart and ear. Dhruva Maharaj explicitly wanted the association of devotees. That association in devotional activities is just like the waves of an incessantly flowing river. In our Krishna conscious society, we have full engagement 24 hours a day. Every moment of our time is always busily engaged in the service of the Lord. This is called the incessant flow of devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Right, Prabhupada clearly explained. Someone trying to be engaged in Krishna conscious activities by himself, offline, is living in a great hallucination. It's not possible. And Prabhupada further explains that without association of devotees, your devotional service does not mature. You do not develop the required divine qualities. And one last verse for this very important inquiry, that unless one is associated with devotees, he cannot cultivate Krishna consciousness. And Niranjana Bhajana means sitting in a secluded area, doing bhajan by himself, cultivating Krishna consciousness in solidarity place is not possible for a neophyte, because he will be disturbed by bodily necessities of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So this is explained in 429.41. We'll read translation and purport for this. Remya 429.41, translation and purport.
Hare Krishna. Translation. Because the conditioned soul is always disturbed by the bodily necessities such as hunger and thirst, he has very little time to cultivate attachment to hearing the nectarian words of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. Unless one is associated with devotees, he cannot cultivate Krishna consciousness. Niranjana Bhajana, cultivating Krishna consciousness in a solitary place, is not possible for the neophyte, for he will be disturbed by the bodily necessities, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Being so disturbed, one cannot cultivate Krishna consciousness. We therefore see that devotees known as Sahajiya, who make everything very easy, do not associate with advanced devotees. Such persons, in the name of devotional activities, are addicted to all kinds of sinful acts, illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, and meat eating. There are many so-called devotees passing themselves off as devotees while engaging in these sinful activities. In other words, one who is influenced by sinful activity cannot be accepted as a person in Krishna consciousness. A person addicted to sinful life cannot develop Krishna consciousness as indicated in this verse. Hare Krishna.
Does that answer a very important inquiry? We read a lot of verses on this important inquiry.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah. And also in the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that Vidi Pranipatena Pariprasna Sevaya Vedekyanti Jnana Jnanina Tattvadarshana, because the senior spiritual leaders have experienced the truth, so they'll be able to guide us in a better way.
Yeah, very good. Very nice recitation of 4.34, that only by serving and inquiring with humility to a spiritual master is when the spiritual master will be pleased and reveal the spiritual subject matter, what he has himself realized. Very good. Everybody on the same page? Questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Go ahead.
We just read about that Sahajya devotee in the purport, and in the Bhagavad Gita, there is a verse like Apichet Duracharo. So still we can consider those Sahajya devotees as saintly, or we cannot consider them.
So, Apichet Suduracharo verse 9.30 Bhagavad Gita is different from Sahajya. Apichetsu Duracharo Bhajaneman Ananyapak, verse 9.30 explains that somebody has an incidental fall down. So there's an incident that some Maya activity, he got entangled into something wrong and he fell down from his position of exalted devotee. So that's what 9.30 is referring to. But he is still considered an elevated devotee because of Ananya Bhakt, means he is still focused on Bhakti Yoga path. He's not questioning the Bhakti Yoga path. He's not saying, well, Bhakti Yoga path is not proper, therefore I fell down. And this devotee who has incidental fall down, he did not go to demigods also because of the fall down. No, he still has confidence in the process, and therefore he's just continuing the Bhakti Yoga process. The Sahajiya, on the other hand, who are mostly interested in, say, merging with the absolute. So these are different points. Does that help you, Subhash?
Yes, Prabhuji. So that 9.30 verses, like, he's already a devotee and following all regulative principles, like not like those of Sahajya devotees.
So 9.30 verse, the incidental fall down might have been because of not being able to follow the regulative principles. That's a possibility. So you cannot just blindly say, well, they are following or not following. So there can be many reasons for the fall down. But you cannot just blindly take one versus the other. Subhash?
Yeah, that's clear, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yeah, so very nice verse, 9.30. Apichet suduracharo. Bhajate mam ananyapak. Sadhureva samanyata. Samyak vyavasito hisa. Subhash can read the translation. I'll recite also if you like.
9.30 Apicheta suduracharo bhajate mam ananyabhak sadhureva samantapya samyak vyavasita is translation. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination.
Right? Bhajate mam ananyapak. That he is determined. Yes, he has done something, apichet suduracharo, because of which he fell down, but he's still bhajate mam ananyapak. Everybody on the same page? All right. Next verse also, the next question also will read a lot of verses. Question number 9. Could you please describe Amsha, Kala, Guna, Leela, Yuga, Manvantra, Shakti, Avesha, incarnations, plenary expansions? Loaded verse for a lot of points. So we will read verses which have direct answers to all of these. So Srimad Bhagavatam 3.21.32 explains about Amsha and Kala expansions. So let's read. So I have 3:21:32 on the screen. Kunal can read translation and purport faster pace.
O great sage, I shall manifest my own plenary portion through your wife, Devahuti, along with your 9 daughters, and I shall instruct her in the system of philosophy that deals with the ultimate principles or category. Purport: herein the word Samsa Kalya indicates that the Lord would appear as the son of Devahuti and Kardama Muni, as Kapil Dev, the first propounder of the Sankhya philosophy, which is mentioned here as Tattva Samhita. The Lord foretold to Kardama Muni that he would appear in his incarnation of Kapila Deva and would propagate the philosophy of Sankhya. Sankhya philosophy is very well known in the world as propagated by another Kapiladeva, but the Sankhya philosophy is different from the Sankhya which was propounded by the Lord himself. There are two kinds of Sankhya philosophy. One is godless Sankhya philosophy and the other is godly Sankhya philosophy. The Sankhya propagated by Kapiladeva, son of Devavati, is godly philosophy. There are different manifestations of the Lord. He is one, but he has become many. He divides himself into two different expansions. One is called Kala and the other Vibhina Masa. Ordinary living entities are called Vibhina Masa expansions, and the ultimated expansions of Vishnu Tattva, such as Vamana, Govinda, Narayana, Pradyumna, Vasudeva, and Ananta, are called Samsa Kala. Samsa refers to a direct expansion, and Kala denotes an expansion from the expansion of the original Lord. Baldeva is the expansion of Krishna, and from Baldeva the next expansion is Sankarsana. Thus Sankarsana is Kala, but Baldeva is Swamsa. There is no difference, however, among them. This is very nicely explained in the Brahma Samhita. Dipirchir eva hi dasantaram abhyutentya. With one candle, one may light a second candle, but the second, with the second, a third, and then fourth. And in this way, one can light up thousands of candles, and no candle is inferior to another in distributing light. Every candle has the full candle power, but there is still the distinction that one candle is the first, another is the second, another is the third, and another is the fourth. Similarly, there is no difference between the immediate expansion of the Lord and his secondary expansion. The Lord's names are considered in exactly the same way. Since the Lord is absolute, his name, his form, his pastimes, his paraphernalia, and his qualities all have the same potency. In the absolute world, the name Krishna is the transcendental sound representation of the Lord. There is no difference in the potency between his qualities, name, form, etc. If we chant the name of the Lord Hare Krishna, that has as much potency as the Lord himself. There is no difference in the potency between the form of the Lord whom we worship and the form of the Lord in the temple. One should not think that one is worshipping a doll or statue of the Lord, even if others considered it to be a statue. Because there is no difference in potency, one gets the same result by worshipping the statue of the Lord or the Lord himself. This is the sign of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so here in this verse, the Swamsha and the Kala are explained that with example that direct expansion, Baldev is Swamsha, and the expansion that come from Baldev are Kala. So I've shown you visual for this, that from Krishna comes Balram, from Balram comes the first quadruple expansion, then from the first Sankarsana comes Narayan, from Narayan comes the second quadruple expansion, then from the second Sankarshan comes Mahavishnu, and all of this continues. So the next point about the other points from the inquiry. So you read Canto 3, Chapter 1. Sorry, the other way around. Canto 1, Chapter 3, verses 1, 2, and 3. You read these later by yourself. I will explain about Leela Avatar. That Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Rama, Narsimha, Vamana, and many others are Leela avatars. They perform Leela. Then Guna avatars or qualitative incarnations, which is Brahmaji, Vishnu, and Shiva, they are in charge of the various modes of material nature. Then Yuga avatars, such as Krishna as Yuga avatar in Dwarpa Yuga, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Yuga avatar in Kali Yuga. Then there are directly empowered avatars known as Shakti Avesha avatars, say the four Kumaras, Narad Muni, Prithu Maharaj. Then the next point in the question is about Manvantra. So Manvantra refers to the reign of Manu. In each 12-hour day of Brahmaji, there are 14 Manus. The lifespan of each Manu is about 50 minutes of Brahmaji's 12-hour day. Each Manu lives for little over 71 cycles of the 4 yugas, which is about a very long time if you actually count in terms of Earth years. So Earth years is roughly 306,720,000 years. So this is the reign of each Manu, which is called as Manvantara. So I have explained so much calculation in brief manner. All this will come up very soon in Canto 3 discussion. Right now we'll briefly read Canto 3, Chapter 11, verses 23 to 27 translations, where all these points are explained. So I have on screen Canto 3, Chapter 11. Ritu will read 23 to 27 translations.
Hare Krishna. Text 23. After the end of Brahma's night, the creation of the three worlds begins again in the daytime of Brahma, and they continue to exist through the life durations of 14 consecutive Manus or fathers of mankind. Text 24. Each and every Manu enjoys a life of a little more than 71 sets of 4 millenniums. Text 25. After the dissolution of each and every Manu, the next Manu comes in order along with his descendants, who rule over the different planets. But the 7 famous sages and demigods like Indra and their followers, such as the Gandharvas, all appear simultaneously with Manu. Text 26. In the creation, during Brahma's day, the 3 planetary systems, Swarga, Martya, and Patal, revolve, and the inhabitants, including the lower animals, human beings, demigods, and pits, appear and disappear in terms of their fruitive activities. Text 27. In each and every change of Manu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears by manifesting his internal potency in different incarnations as Manu and others. Thus, he maintains the universe by discovered power. Hare Krishna.
Does that answer a lot of points from question number 9?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Right, thank you.
I have one question in this.
Yeah.
Swamsha, is Lord Balram the only incarnation in Swamsa category? Because he.
So Swamsha, Krishna can also expand. So the 16,108 expansions of Krishna for each of his queens, that is also Swamsha incarnation.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you again for listening with rapt attention. Question number 10. Does Brahmaji undergo austerities after each millennium to renovate the knowledge for creation? You are absolutely correct. At the start of each millennium, Brahmaji does austerities for creation. Srila Prabhupada explains that Brahmaji is also Jiva Tattva, therefore Brahmaji also forgets how to do creation. Although Brahmaji has done creation before, Brahmaji is Jiva Tattva exactly like you and I, therefore Brahmaji also forgets like how you and I forget. So we'll read 3.8.17 to 19 for these points. Ritu will read. So I have so we are on Canto 3, chapter 8, verses 17 to 19. So purports are short. You can read translations and purports.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Lord Brahma, situated in that lotus, could not perfectly understand the creation, the lotus, or himself. At the end of the millennium, the air of devastation began to move the water and the lotus in great circular waves. Purport. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah, go ahead, purport.
Lord Brahma was perplexed about his creation, the lotus and the world, even though he tried to understand them for 1 millennium, which is beyond calculation in the solar years of human beings. No one, therefore, can know the mystery of the creation and cosmic manifestation simply by mental speculation. The human being is so limited in his capacity that without the help of the Supreme, he can hardly understand the mystery of the will of the Lord in terms of creation, continuance, and destruction.
Right, Brahmaji is perplexed. Continue 18, 19, purport, also translation.
Lord Brahma, in his ignorance, contemplated, who am I, that am situated on the top of this lotus? Wherefrom has it sprouted? There must be something downwards, and that from which this lotus has grown must be within the water. Purport. The subject matter of the speculations of Brahma in the beginning regarding the creation of the cosmic manifestation is still a subject matter for mental speculators. The most intelligent man is he who tries to find the cause of his personal existence and that of the whole cosmic creation, and thus tries to find the ultimate cause. If his attempt is properly executed with penances and perseverance, it is sure to be crowned with success. Text 19 translation. Lord Brahma, thus contemplating, entered the water through the channel of the stem of the lotus. But in spite of entering the stem and going nearer to the navel of Vishnu, he could not trace out the root. Purport. By dint of one's personal endeavor, one may go nearer to the Lord. But without the Lord's mercy, one cannot reach the ultimate point. Such understanding of the Lord is possible only by devotional service, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 18.55. Bhaktya mam abhijanti yavan yas kasmi tatvatah. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Brahmaji is confused. He does not know how to do creation, although he has done creation so many times. Does that answer the inquiry? All right. Question number 11. When lust or desire is not fulfilled, there is appearance of wrath. But in absence of wrath, how can there be any place for lust? So there's a statement from 2.7.7 we'll read. Question is, I could not grab the second phrase. Could you explain this, giving an example? So inquiries from 2.7.7, I will read to understand that we have discussed in Bhagavad Gita 2.62 and 63 that unfulfilled lust leads to wrath. So in Bhagavatam 2.7.7, the quality of the Lord is glorified, that there is no wrath, means there is no lust, because lust is the source of wrath. So if wrath is not there, how can there be lust? So we'll read 2.7.7 translation and purport now, and this will become clear. Priyanka will read 2.7.7 translation and purport.
Hare Krishna. Great tall words like Lord Shiva can, by their wrathful glances, overcome lust and vanquish him. Yet they cannot be free from the overwhelming effects of their own wrath. Such wrath can never enter into the heart of him, the Lord, who's above all this. So how can lust take shelter in his mind? purport. When Lord Shiva was engaged in severely austere meditation, Cupid, the demigod of lust, threw his arrow of sex desire. Lord Shiva, thus being angry at him, glanced at Cupid in great wrath, and at once the body of Cupid was annihilated. Although Lord Shiva was so powerful, he was unable to get free from the effects of such wrath. But in the behavior of Lord Vishnu, there is no incident of such wrath at any time. On the contrary, Bhrigu Muni tested the tolerance of the Lord by purposely kicking his chest, but instead of being angry at Bhrigu Muni, the Lord begged his pardon, saying Bhrigu Muni's leg might have been badly hurt because his chest is too hard. The Lord has a sign of the foot of Bhrigu-pada as a mark of tolerance. The Lord, therefore, is never affected by any kind of wrath. So, how can there be any place for lust which is less strong than wrath? When lust or desire is not fulfilled, there is appearance of wrath. But in the absence of wrath, how can there be any place for lust? The Lord is known as Aptakama, or one who can fulfill his desires by himself. He does not require anyone's help to satisfy his desires. The Lord is unlimited, and therefore his desires are also unlimited. All living entities but the Lord are limited in every respect. How then can the limited satisfy the desires of the unlimited? The conclusion is that the absolute personality of Godhead has neither lust nor anger, and even if there is sometimes a show of lust and anger by the absolute, it should be considered an absolute benediction. Hare Krishna.
Right, so example is given comparatively that Shiva had wrath and therefore he became angry on Cupid. Well, he had wrath means he also would have had lust. And the second example given is of Bhrigu Muni kicking Vishnu's chest, and Vishnu showed no wrath. He tolerated. He actually showed compassion on Bhrigu. Oh, Bhrigu, did your feet get hurt? My chest is very hard. So Vishnu has no wrath. Well, if wrath is not there, how can there be lust? Because lust is the source of wrath, which is also described in 2.62-63 Bhagavad Gita as the sequence of fall down, that unfulfilled lust leads to wrath. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes.
Thank you. Question number 12. Is it possible to specify the process of journey of soul of a pure devotee of the Lord to Vaikuntha Loka on his death, as Vaikuntha Loka is far beyond the material sky? Very good. So I have a visual on screen for Dhruv Maharaj. The Vishnu Dutas have come from spiritual world on a swan-like airplane to take Dhruv Maharaj to spiritual world. And the other example of Prithu Maharaj and his wife Archie, in the verse we'll soon read for all of this, they also went similar airplane, swan-like airplane, to Vaikuntha. So for earlier question number 7 today, we read Bhagavatam 1.7.4, that upon being fully realized, how Srila Vyasadeva saw the Lord controlling the energies, and Srila Vyasadeva bypassed Brahman and Paramatma realizations. So for this two examples, Dhruv Maharaj and Prithu Maharaj going to Vaikuntha is almost identical. We'll read from 4.12.19 to 27 that Vishnu Dutas from Vaikuntha came in this swan-like airplane to take Dhruv Maharaj to Vaikuntha. Let me bring up 4.12.19 to 27. We'll read. So I have Canto 4, Chapter 12. Now everybody has read. Whosoever wants to read 19 to 27 translations.
Yeah, I can read. Prabhuji.
Go ahead.
Text 19. As soon as the symptoms of his liberation were manifest, he saw a very beautiful airplane coming down from the sky, as if the brilliant full moon were coming down, illuminating all 10 directions. Text 20. Dhruva Maharaj saw two very beautiful associates of Lord Vishnu in the plane. They had 4 hands and a blackish bodily luster. They were very youthful, and their eyes were just like reddish lotus flowers. They had clubs in their hands, and they were dressed in very attractive garments with helmets and were decorated with necklaces, bracelets, and earrings.
So
21.
this description of Vishnu Dutas is identical here in the visual that you have. So everybody in Vaikuntha planet looks identical to Vishnu. They have 4 hands, bluish body, helmet, yellow garments. They look very identical, not very much. They are identical. The only distinction between Vishnu and the Vishnu Dutas in Vaikuntha is the Srivatsa mark on Vishnu himself. Continue, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. Text 21. Dhruva Maharaj, uncommon personalities, seeing these uncommon personalities were direct servants of the Dhruva Maharaj, seeing that these uncommon personalities were direct servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, immediately stood up. But being puzzled in hastiness, he forgot how to receive them in proper way. Therefore, he simply offered obeisances with folded hands and chanted and glorified the holy names of the Lord. Text 22. Dhruv Maharaj was always absorbed in thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord. His heart was full with Krishna. When the two confidential servants of the Supreme Lord, who were named Nanda and Sunanda, approached him, smiling happily, Dhruv stood with folded hands, bowing humbly. Then addressed him as follows. Text 23. Nanda and Sunanda, the two confidential associates of Lord Vishnu, said, Dear King, let there be all good fortune unto you. Please attentively hear what we shall say. When you were only 5 years old, you underwent severe austerities and thereby greatly satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 24. We are representatives of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the creator of the whole universe, who carries in his hand the bow named Saranga. We have been specifically deputed to take you to the spiritual world. Text 25. To achieve Vishnu Loka is very difficult, but by your austerity you have conquered. Even the great rishis and demigods cannot achieve this position. Simply to see the supreme abode, the Vishnu planet, the sun and the moon and all other planets, stars, lunar mansions, and solar systems are circumambulating it. Now please come, you are welcome to go there. 26. Dear King Dhruva, neither your forefathers nor anyone else before you ever achieved such transcendental planet. The planet known as Vishnu Loka, where Lord Vishnu personally resides, is the highest of all. It is worshipable by the inhabitants of all other planets in the universe. Please come with us and live there eternally. 27. O Immortal One, this unique airplane has been sent by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is worshipped by selected prayers and who is the chief of all living entities. You are quite worthy to board such a plane.
So we saw how Dhruv Maharaj is getting on the airplane from Vaikuntha. The Vishnu Dutas have come. Now further, when Dhruv Maharaj was about to board this swan-like airplane coming from Vaikuntha, death personified came in front of Dhruv Maharaj. But being a pure devotee, Dhruv Maharaj was not at all afraid of death personified. Instead, Dhruv Maharaj used death personified in his service by stepping on the head of death personified to board the Vaikuntha airplane. So this is described further in the verse that we were reading. So we'll now go to 28 to 30, the point I just described. Whosoever wants to read 28 to 30 translations.
Should I?
Go ahead, Prabhupada.
Text 28. The great sages Maitri continued. Maharaja Dhruva was very dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When he heard the sweet speeches of Lord's chief associates in the Vaikuntha planet, he immediately took his sacred bath, dressed himself with suitable ornaments, and performed his daily spiritual duties. Thereafter, he offered his respectful obeisances to the great sages present there and accepted their blessings. Text 29. Before getting aboard, Dhruva Maharaj worshipped the airplane, bulleted it, and also offered obeisances to the associates of Vishnu. In the meantime, he became as brilliant and illuminating as molten gold. He was thus completely prepared to board the transcendental plane. Text 30. When Dhruva Maharaj was attempting to get on the transcendental plane, he saw death personified approach him, not caring for death. However, he took advantage of the opportunity to put his feet on the head of the death, and thus he got up on the airplane, which was as big as a house. Hare Krishna.
Right, so you have the visual. We read the verses for all this as to how one goes to Vaikuntha. And the same is for Prithu Maharaj and his wife Archie, although there's no visual, but it's identical the way they went. So I'll bring up Bhagavatam 4.23.26. Subhash Prabhu will read the translation and the purport, just first 2 lines. Subhash.
Hare Krishna. The wives of the demigods continued. Just see how this chaste lady, Archie, by dint of her inconceivable pious activities, is still following her husband upward as far as we can see. Purport. Both Prithu Maharaja airplane and the airplane carrying Queen Archie were passing out of the vision of the ladies of the higher planetary systems.
Right,
These
so
ladies
it's identical in terms of the visual that we saw for Dhruv Maharaj in the verses. It's identical for Prithu Maharaj and his wife Queen Archie, the way they went back to Vaikuntha. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Last question for today. Question number 13. Since the Supreme Lord is completely self-satisfied, fully independent, and lacks nothing, what is his ultimate internal motive for descending into the material world in so many different forms? So we'll read Bhagavatam 1.1.12. The sages of Naimisharanya actually asked this exact same question. So I have Bhagavatam 1.1.12 on screen, and we'll also read the answer for this question. So whoever wants to read 1.1.12 translation as to the question of Naimisharanya.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Ramya, go ahead.
All blessings upon you, O Sutta Goswami. You know for what purpose the personality of Godhead appeared in the womb of Devaki as a son of Vasudeva. Purport. Bhagavan means the...
That's all. So we'll read the answer. So the question is identical, that why did Lord appear? Ramya will read 2 more verses. The answer is in 1.2.34 as well as 1.3.28. The answer is to reclaim the souls back to Godhead. So I have 1.2.34 on screen. Ramya, translation.
Thus, the Lord of the universes maintains all planets inhabited by demigods, men and lower animals. Assuming the roles of the incarnation, he performs pastimes to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness.
Right, so he comes to reclaim all the souls. And 1328, you can also recite if you can and read the translation. I can recite first. 1328.
I can do it. Eti chamta kala pumsha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Mritayanti Yuge Yuge. Translation. All of the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. But Lord Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets whenever there is a disturbance created by the atheist. The Lord incarnates to protect the theists.
Right, so very nice recitation, Raymond. So the Lord incarnates to protect the thieves and reclaim them. Anybody remembers what speciality of 1.3.28 verse? What's this verse known as? Srimad Bhagavatam overview, Abhishek.
This is the Paribhasha Sutra.
Very good, correct. 1.3.28 is the Paribhasha Sutra. Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. Paribhasha means it's only one verse in the entire series of verses so that we don't lose track. What's the core theme? The core theme is Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam, that Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. We don't lose track of this because there are so many verses where Brahmaji is also called as Lord, Shiva is also called as Lord. So we don't lose track of Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. Thank you, Abhishek Prabhu. And the same point, Kunti Maharani also says, Ritu will be reading the verses from screen. Kunti Maharani says in 1.8.32 to 34 that different devotees explain Lord's appearance differently. But the real reason for Lord's appearance is in 1.8.35 that you come to destroy ignorance so that souls can go back to Godhead. So Ritu will read 1.8.32 to 35 translations. I have Canto 1, Chapter 8, 32 to 35.
Some say that the unborn is born for the glorification of pious kings, and others say that he is born to please King Yadu, one of your dearest devotees. You appear in his family as sandalwood appears in the Malaya hills. Text 33. Others say that since both Vasudev and Devaki prayed for you, you have taken your birth as their son. Undoubtedly, you are unborn. Yet you take your birth for their welfare and to kill those who are envious of the demigods. Text 34. Others say that the world, being overburdened like a boat at sea, is much aggrieved, and that Brahma, who is your son, prayed for you, and so you have appeared to diminish the trouble. Text 35. And yet others say that you appeared for the sake of rejuvenating the devotional service of hearing, remembering, worshipping, and so on, in order that the conditioned soul suffering from material pangs might take advantage and gain liberation. Hare Krishna.
Right, so the real purpose is devotional service, destroy ignorance, so that all souls can go back home, back to Godhead. Does that answer the inquiry? All right, any questions, comments, realizations? We read a lot of verses today. Thank you all again.
Probably unrelated question. So when we go to the temple, I mean, I just came to know this like last week that we should not bow down or pay obeisances once the altar is closed, even to Srila Prabhupada. Is that correct?
So you are correct. I have described this at the towards the end of chapter 2. You can listen to that recording where about 30 minutes I have described what to do and what not to do when Gopinath doors are open and Gopinath doors are closed, and when others spiritual masters are present. So I'll briefly describe right now. And I can also, Kunal, I can also send you the link, or whosoever else wants, I can send that to you also. So when Gopinath doors are open, you offer obeisances in this sequence, that you first offer obeisances to your living spiritual master, then Srila Prabhupada, then to the three altars, Gaurnitai, Shri Radhakrishna, and Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani. And nobody else you offer obeisances. Nobody. You do not, when Gopinath doors are open, you cannot offer obeisances to other spiritual masters. You cannot offer obeisances to Tulsi Maharani. You cannot offer obeisances to other devotees. So if somebody else is giving the Sunday feast class, you should not offer obeisances to that speaker. When Gopinath doors are closed, you can offer obeisances to everybody. So if you recall, when you go to say for Mangalarti, when Gopinath doors open at 4:30, everybody offers obeisances, then they close the door, then they do the Tulsi Aarti. Yeah, Tulsi Maharani is there, sitting in the temple room. But say if you enter the temple room just when the Gopinath doors are open, then do not offer obeisances to Tulsi Maharani also. Wait for Gopinath doors to close, then offer obeisances to Tulsi Maharani and all other devotees. So Kunal Prabhu, I will send you the class recording from Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 towards the end, where I have described all this and the various prayers we should recite when we offer obeisances. We are correct that when Gopinath doors are closed, do not offer obeisances. And the reason is, offering obeisances, Krishna will reciprocate. So when Gopinath doors are closed, so either Gopinath is honoring the bhoga offered to him, is either getting dressed or he's sleeping. So how can he reciprocate? Right? So you don't offer obeisances at that time. So I'll tell you my personal example that one time I entered the temple, and at the temple, His Holiness Bhaktimarg Swami, he was talking on the phone. I went and offered obeisances. So he actually paused his phone and say, at that time I was not initiated and I did not know all the rules. So he actually paused his phone and said, Rajesh, I cannot reciprocate right now. I'm on the phone. So I said, sorry, okay. And then when he finished his conversation on the phone, he actually came to talk to me. He said, Rajesh, I was on the phone. I cannot reciprocate. So I offered obeisances again to him. And then he passed along all glories to Prabhupada and to Krishna. So he was teaching, right there. He's there to teach us. So Kunal Prabhu, does that help you?
Yeah, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
I will anyway, Kunal Prabhu, I will anyway send you the Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 recording where all this discussion is already there. So I will send the next recording, and one of the spiritual endeavor coming up is to refresh. I think it already might be there in the previous recording, that you refresh Bhagavad Gita Chaturshloki verses, because Bhagavatam Chaturshloki verses are coming up in Canto 2, Chapter 9. So it's going to coincide that on June 28, Sunday, 7 a.m. Toronto time, 4:30 p.m. India time and 4:45 p.m. Nepal time, Archana is anyway going to do a presentation on Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam Chaturshloki verses. So it's a good opportunity that you can try to attend Archana's classes. So I have highlighted on here June 28, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam Chaturshloki. It's going to very much coincide with when you will be listening to Canto 2, Chapter 9 classes. So you can try to attend or listen to the recording, how the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam Chaturshloki are overlapping. Try your best. And those of you who attend the live classes, so the next week on June 21st, follow my message. Potentially there may not be a class and I will send Prabhupada lecture. So I will also message you. At least I know Path Prabhu and Patyush Prabhu attend live. So others and Path and Pratyush can follow along my message for what happens to the bigger presentation in the batch 3 and 4 on June 21st. All right. Are we okay to stop here?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji.